Okay, so in Warrior Flow, when we're talking about balance, what we're really talking about is equilibrium control. And so when you're doing all these different exercises and using weighted objects and rolling the ball, with a medicine ball and doing all these things, what you're really doing is you're also training your equilibrium. When I'm stepping to different positions and striking, I gotta have control of my equilibrium, because it's not just me stepping here and striking, but it's also me stepping here and timing it with the drop as I'm hitting and decelerating and getting the maximum deceleration in there, so that as I'm throwing the strike, all that energy that I'm striking with goes in the direction I want it to go. So there's a timing to it. The other thing I do though is I don't just practice, ninja walk, vacuum walk and stuff like that. I also practice being able to lift my feet and step in different directions, sometimes lift my feet, move my leg around in different positions, feeling myself rotating around my center of gravity, so that if I'm in a situation where I gotta throw a kick or put my foot out to keep somebody off me, if I have to step, it's not an awkward thing for me to reposition myself. Even if I lose a little balance, I can quickly recover. To me, being able to control your equilibrium is far more important than having a root so strong that, people can't push you, because real fights are dynamic. They're not, push hands competitions, or they're not sumo matches. There's two people, getting after it. So when you're practicing these exercises, don't neglect learning and practicing how to move and how to control your equilibrium as you step, as you pick your feet up. This is the reason why I have all these different stepping exercises in Warrior Flow, is to teach people to comfortably be able to reposition their body and step wherever they need to step, where they always are controlling their equilibrium in a manner where they have control. Remember, your hitting power is not coming from your arms. It's coming from being able to drive from the ground, drive from the floor, all the way through that kinetic chain, and layers of hands on people's in the side of the head and slap the hell out of people. So as I'm moving, as I'm doing things, I'm always trying to feel that connection. I'm always trying to feel the control. Even if I'm on one foot, because I'm still on balance, I can still hit with power because I'm controlling my equilibrium. And I know there are people who disagree with that, but I see people do it all the time, hitting off of one leg and just knocking people out. So as you're practicing, as you're building, as you're even developing your own exercise regimen of how you develop different types of skills, you just want to keep in mind that, again, as Grandmaster Cameron said, and I said it in a number of videos, but I'll keep saying it, to the end of days, because it's so true. If you want to be able to do the thing you want to be able to do, you got to practice doing it. And then you also got to practice all those sundry things, all those sundry skills, all those little micro skills and adumbrations that go with making a skill or a technique work, because all those things are a part of the whole. No one skill, even if it's, throwing a kick, no one skill is just one thing. There's the balance component, there's the lifting of the leg, there's the positioning of the leg, there's the control of the equilibrium, there's the extension of the leg, there's the extension with speed and power. All those things are a part of being able to throw a good kick. Each one of those things, while a component of it, can also be trained separately, whereas you can perfect them, and then you bring them all together where it seamlessly and smoothly becomes one thing. So hopefully in these last couple of videos, I've kind of given you some food for thought, because I think at this point for a lot of people, it's really, who've been following my videos, it's really now, how do I figure out for myself with my body, with the body God gave me, to be able to do the things I want to be able to do? Because only you know for sure what your weaknesses or strengths are. I don't know that. Unless I'm working with you and you tell me what you want to get better, I don't know that. So you want to start re-examining what you're doing, looking at what your weaknesses are, and then start building a program where you can walk yourself through, where you build up your abilities to wherever you feel you want it to be, or as high as you can get. I mean, none of us knows how good we can get, at anything. Each time you get better at something and you go to a new level, you're like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Well, you couldn't do it before because you had to build up to it. Final point on this, even though I keep saying final point, and that is focus on the process. I almost forgot to say this. Holy cow. Don't get so wrapped around the axle over the end result. The end result will come. But you're going to find a lot of times if you focus on the process and kind of enjoy the process of getting there, a lot of times you get way beyond the end result. A lot of times you get to where you want to be, sometimes sooner than you thought you would, because you're focused on the things that get you to that place. Too many people see me do something and they want to be able to do some of the things I do, and all they're doing is looking at the end result. They didn't see when I was practicing how to get my footwork and timing down, the times where I tripped and fell. They don't see all that. They don't see me when I'm trying a new exercise or I'm trying to develop a new skill, how I struggle and suck at it just like everybody else. They don't see that. What they see is they see the end result when I'm teaching something. Well, of course, I'm not going to teach something that I can't, accurately demonstrate. So when you're practicing this stuff, when you're doing this stuff, really concentrate also on what is it that you're doing as you're doing it, feeling what that feels like, focusing on that process, making things within the process the way you feel they need to be, of where you want to be with your balance. If you want to be able to stand on one leg, kick and do all this other fancy stuff, whatever that case may be, but focus on the process. What you're going to find is by focusing on the process, you're going to have much better workouts. Your training is going to exponentially improve your ability, simply because you're now building the things that are necessary to get to that end state. And you're probably going to get to the end state a lot sooner than you thought. Hopefully, again, I've given you some food for thought for some stuff of how you can practice stuff.